Three, two, one. Welcome, Joseph. I want to introduce a good friend, Joseph Rodrigues. Joseph has a YouTube channel of over 400,000 subscribers. Just started a new one right now, a business. Go check that out. And he also is a multi-time founder. Started in IT, did business consulting, and now, in particular, in his business, shares very high level esoteric and metaphysical insights. So today I'd like to weave that conversation of business, mind, and spirituality into one, the three planes we can integrate with the helix, physical, mental, and spiritual. And so, Joseph, the perfect person to have this conversation with, brother. I'd like you to introduce yourself a little bit, your story and how you got to where you are today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I always enjoy our conversations, Jay. And now we get to share with everyone our fun conversations. So I worked 10 years in corporate. In the middle of my corporate career, 2004, let's say, 2004, I was in $50,000 debt. And then I came across this book, Think and Grow Rich. And he said, if you follow the instructions in the book, you can experience abundance. And he said it in a way that I never heard before, which was very esoteric. He talked about the sixth sense and subconscious mind. I had no idea what this was. And so I followed the instructions of the book. And yeah, in a very, let's say, non-linear way, I ended up getting out of $50,000 debt. I also, the way he describes it is there are these beliefs in the subconscious mind, and they may be these beliefs of limitation. If you release them, like literally magic happens. And then you will listen to intuition, the sixth sense will be helping and guiding you, infinite intelligence. And so it ended up happening. I applied the information to move up in my corporate career. I ended up very fascinated by this word in Think and Grow Rich called transmutation. So he essentially said you could transmute energy. If you have a burning desire, you can transmute it into physical equivalent. And then I said, that's fascinating. Where does this word come from? Then I came across The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. It was interesting. The books were always there. They just started showing up. I also came across the Kabbalion, which started to explain more of this word transmutation and where this word originates from. So I kept applying the information. I moved up in my corporate career. And then in 2009, I chose to leave my corporate career, which I was there for 10 years, and then start an IT business, which I built a success from 2009 to 13. And then in 2013, I did not feel inspired to continue with that. I was very much into the coaching and consulting aspects of the sales, the marketing, the operations, the finance, the leadership, not so much anymore into the fulfillment of IT services. So I started a YouTube channel, which actually I bought a one-way ticket to Austria. And I said, I'm going to shift perspectives. I'm going to get involved with something else. I feel like I'll get involved with some consulting, but let's make this video. So I made this video of traveling out of a backpack. I called it something like that, as I did. I got rid of everything, just fit some stuff in a backpack and bought a one-way ticket to Austria. And that started off the YouTube channel and the consulting, we could say, at the same time. And so both of those ended up growing to success. The YouTube channel, I created 5 programs. The mastermind, for example, you're part of that. I created a lot of different, let's say, fun business containers for entrepreneurs, live events, in person, on Zoom, one-on-one. That's been a lot of fun. I had all kinds of interesting experiences. And so that's it. And I continue to do it. The channel, as you mentioned, now I got 2 channels. And what's interesting about the channel was I initially started talking about experiences applying books that have been helpful for me. So business book discussions. And I did it in my style, which is the mind maps, which I know you love the mind maps. And I love the mind maps too. And then I started to say, what if I talk about some of the more esoteric stuff? Initially, I was like a little bit afraid to talk about it because I thought it was kind of unusual if I was to talk about subconscious mind and infinite intelligence, even though these things were helpful. But for whatever reason may be, we could say I was identified with the belief that, of limitation, saying that people won't embrace it or something like that. And this was back in 2017, 18. I said, let's do it anyways. And they ended up becoming my most popular videos. The Think and Grow Rich discussion, where you talk about infinite intelligence, subconscious mind, power of the subconscious mind. And then I said, people are interested in this. So I started exploring it more and more so. And then over the years, I explored it more and more so. And then you and I met. And then I said, okay, well, let's continue these conversations on this channel. And then let's also talk about the entrepreneurship stuff. So I focus more on the entrepreneurship stuff, the sales, marketing, operations, finance, leadership, let's say very hands-on stuff in the other channel. And I do talk about entrepreneurship because, again, my life has been largely invested in entrepreneurship, yet applying it in this way, flow, esoteric. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. No, that's a beautiful synopsis. I've heard this story, but I like how you summed it up. I think it's important to point out a lot of the books because I feel like that is the main thing. I feel like that was the catalyst really for our relationship. The first book that launched really my entrepreneurial mindset was also Think and Grow Rich. But the other books that you mentioned beyond that, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, The Kabbalion, and we could go on. I mean, there are certain texts I feel like that do offer some sort of legacy information, to say the least. The information that doesn't change. And I feel this is really important. This is a quote that I have. It's by Marcus Aurelius, philosophy professor, gave it to me when I was in
Mhm.
college.
Yeah.
And part of it, a short quote of it, it says, uh, if consciousness is common, then there must be common among us, right? And so when we think about duality, and Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher, has this book, Beyond Good and Evil. What is beyond good and evil? And it isn't undefined either. It's objectively what is high quality, but what is truth? What is common consciousness? And how can we define that? And what I've come to understand now is from potential, we have this process of sound creates light, creates the hologram. And so light is the the initial condition of the chaos. And light, the different dimensions and perspectives of light are the underlying common strings of consciousness that everyone has been searching for. And we understand this, and it extrapolates into wish, goal, plan, and action. So let's talk about that.
Yes. I relate this over to, and this happened on the journey, existence, consciousness, bliss, Advaita Vedanta. So the journey, interesting. From one book to another book, I was raised Catholic. Then stuff started to reconcile, actually. And I started to have experiences like, for example, oh, wait, I don't actually need something to experience bliss. I can exist and experience bliss. Who am I? Where do I come from? And we could say, I am pure light. And I have a true nature, we could say love. How do I say, why do I say that? And more specifically, is unconditional love. We experience it in the moment, let's say with or without. Maybe in the earlier stages for me, I thought it was here I can experience it, and this other area I don't experience it. So it must be because of this external condition. Then I said, wait, where's that condition? Again, the think and grow rich subconscious mind. We know that the condition appears in mind. What if I release that condition? This versus that condition, just to see what happens, we could say, because it seems to generate suffering. As in, if the condition is met, then love. And if it's not met, then it's what I call not love. But I know that's an illusion, as I am love. So what ended up happening then is, practically speaking, it seems to open up more doors. One way of looking at it is in business. If a prospect says they're not interested in moving forward with the deal, you still experience unconditional love, we could say, towards them. And you remain as you are. So I remain as I am, in other words, not affected by appearances. Now, what's interesting about that is they can then show up later on and want to do the deal with you, or so it can appear that way, or they could refer someone to you. Or let's say I let that be, and then I get a phone call, or I make a phone call, and I, let's say, don't bring to that phone call a condition. Practically speaking, the emotions are released, thoughts of limitation are released, and love is experienced here.
Yes. Yes. I am light, and my nature is love. I like the way you said that. As this is the case, I find, well, love, what is that? Light, what is that? So, love is integration, and in particular, giving it to yourself is self-love. And so, if the idea is you have this imagination, this light matrix of potential that you can create into a more solidified form in reality. We don't live in reality. Everyone is creating it. And so the love of self essentially allows one to progressively master self-expression. And this self-expression through unconditional love of self organizes a contribution that generates reciprocity. And as within, so without, unconditional love to the self shows up in reality as the greatest good to the greatest number of people. And I'm going to weave that into that's how you make billions of dollars because business is organizing the contribution. Not even billions of dollars. This is how you make limitless money because money is already made. You create systems that allow it to flow through. And as you acquire higher degrees of unconditional self-love, this correlates to your ability to organize your contribution, which correlates to higher levels of reciprocity, the greatest good to the greatest number. And this is why love, spirituality, light, this understanding, why wholeness is what's common. This is what light is. Light is whole. Light is the particle and the wave. And so that's why love is our nature.
Yes, like I said, that love is our nature. We are love. And acknowledging that we are love appears as organizing the contributions, we could say, in a loving way. It appears as loving harmonious relationships, loving business relationships, organizing the contributions in a way that it continues to spread, let's say. And really, it's up to the individual.
But how does it continue to spread? It's the pattern. It's the golden ratio. We talked about this, right? Like the spiral. What I realize it's so obvious when you unlock the patterns of it's the two previous that creates the next. That's what the Fibonacci sequence is. That's what the golden ratio is. That's what a spiral is. That's what the flowers do. That's what the galaxy does. And that's what we do. That's what energy is. The two previous create the next. The last two times that we spoke, Joseph, is why we're here today. You know? And this
It's a
is how
wonderful
everything
pattern.
works. That's how everything
Yeah.
works. And becoming conscious of that is incredible. Fibonacci is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 8 is 13. This is the pattern of energy. And the pattern of time, because time is change in energy. When
Yes. The way I relate is be as you are love. And it appears as, let's say, organizing the contributions in these kinds of interesting, fascinating ways, as you articulated, how you described it here. You know this area very well, and you articulated it very precisely. It appears as I witness you succeeding at organizing the contributions. So as I remain as I am, perfect love, it appears as people organizing their contributions. Now, I may appear to do this, I may appear to do that, yet what I appear to do, let's say not do, happens as I remain as I am and acknowledge that I am love beyond condition. So, one way of relating this to what I brought up earlier with Think and Grow Rich is I acknowledge he said auto suggestions. The way I say it now is they're acknowledgments of or symbols. If you say, I have a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, that's a way of saying, I am love. What that does is it purifies the subconscious mind from beliefs of limitation or suggestions that say, that suggest I am not love. And then it plays out in this way that you're describing here. So over the course, I kept doing that. I just kept releasing these conditions that were only in mind. So then I said, oh, this is interesting. I can just keep releasing these conditions. And then as I keep releasing these conditions, because why do I need to condition anything if I am love? I can just experience love, witness love appearing more so. Is it really like that? Was the interesting question that I
What's
had.
your upper limit problem? It's your self-concept, right? Like, are you able to give it to yourself, right? Self-love. Like, can you tell your observer to choose this character?
Oh, that's an interesting point. See, I can observe the thoughts. You can observe the thoughts. Let's say if I choose not to identify with a thought, then I know that I transcend the thought. So let's say thought of limitation. I know I transcend the thought of limitation. Therefore, I cannot be limited because I transcend it. And let's say I continue to do that through, for example, a meditation practice. It is experienced as no thought. Let's say void. And then I say, or inquire more so, inquire, who am I that is aware of this individual that has no thought? And then what is experienced is love. So that is what we call existence consciousness bliss. So bliss, I say it love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Everything that the individual was, let's say, appearing to desire for, they acknowledge that they are in that moment. It's experienced. And then through that embodiment, which is an actual embodiment, like it's physically and emotionally, neurologically integrated, the individual then goes on to, let's say, automatically or naturally do the loving thing, automatically, naturally love because they know themselves to be love. They have acknowledged that they are love. Then what is said, pure consciousness.
Yep.
Or we could say that full consciousness.
Yep. Exactly.
Absolute self. Yes, what you have on your screen here is articulating it very precisely.
I there's a couple visuals that just explain a lot. I enjoy this one. So I felt like it's a good share. It was in synchronicity with what we're talking about. Something here too, if we're able to helix it and choose potential, right? And it's quantum, and we said nonlinear progress. If see shame, fear, desire, anger, even pride, this is a low vibration of light. Literally, red is a lower frequency than purple, violet. And so, kind of like a bird, an eagle flies higher, right? So, purple exists at the higher vibration. Love can't exist, or guilt and shame and fear can't exist at love, wisdom, or full consciousness, let alone. And the colors are vibration. Look into it. And the progress
This
is
also corresponds to the seven chakras, the colors that you have on the screen.
absolutely,
This is wonderful. You got this.
absolutely. It corresponds to everything, like heaven, in between, purgatory, hell, the actual colors, like of light. And but the last point I want to make with this is with the progress being nonlinear, if you find yourself in a state of lower vibration, you don't have to go one at a time to become fully conscious. If you are in desire or anger, pride, grief, or even neutrality, you can go straight and observe full consciousness. Understand you maintain this potential as you are light. You are the whole thing, all of it. And once you are pure white light, undifferentiation, non-duality with God, this does not negate the truth that red exists, but you fly higher like the eagle.
Yes, and that's a great way of articulating it. I like it. And it seems to, from my experience, manifest as appearing to contribute or organizing contributions in a way that brings forth heaven on earth. It's an experience of, oh, it was like it was always there and it's the veils are being removed.
Now, how do
That's
we
being,
expand though into infinite potential once we understand this, right? Like, okay, how do I now observe my limitless nature then? And this pattern is the flower of life. And what this says is the point creates a sphere of awareness. And to expand, the point must move to the perimeter of the sphere to observe something new. And so this geometry is what creates the flower of life. And so to expand, we move to the perimeter of our awareness. You're, I love this quote. I meditate in peace where it's not safe. The edge of my potential to expand, where there's everything, the red and the white, to go find more. And that is the nature of the progressional expansion of light. I think I know going from thinking and believing and uh into an actual state of knowing and creating is the way. It comes off as we say these words like self-confidence, but it's knowing light, knowing God is everything, and knowing faith is that knowing that everything exists and creation is finished. Now choose. What can you give yourself? That's self-love. And the character you observe is the self-concept. It creates an aura. You literally have iron, metal in your blood that creates a current. You have metal pumping water that creates a current. You have an electromagnetic pulse every time you think a thought. Your neurons fire all over your body. This creates light. You just can't see it. The visible spectrum is here. We have X-ray, gamma, ultraviolet, infrared, microwave, radio, and this is your aura. And this is the full light being interaction with God, the ultimate everything. And to create what you so desire, choose your color. Of course, from the infinite potential. Now, I like being blue and gold because that
Huh.
is the essence of enlightenment. That's the color of fire. That's light going from pure potential into form.
I love that. Pure gold. I choose to be as I am. Pure gold. And it appears, let's say, as the organizing the contributions. The way I relate to that is it appears that you play a wonderful role, a golden role, let's say, in organizing contributions in ways that, let's say, transcend the limitations that are in mind, which are beliefs, as you mentioned, transcending the beliefs. I am beyond belief. It happens, practically speaking, hunches, plans, inspiration spontaneously arise, or deals happen and they seem to be very effortless. So, the way I describe the experience that appeared to increase more so that way, the experience is I am still, yet I appear to flow because I am whole, complete, have everything. Complete, let's say, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, everything that I once desired. Thus, I am desireless and I appear to flow. And what that appears as, let's say, is I may do this, I may say that. I don't think about what to say. It happens. Or let's say, overthink what to say. And in business, for example, as you know, you're a masterful consultant, you have a conversation with your client. And then what naturally arises as you acknowledge that they are love, there's only love, there's only bliss, is it appears as, let's say, an idea, a creative idea, or them coming up with the idea on their own or together or something like that, as it is infinitely intelligent already. Existence is infinitely intelligent. So I am love and I am infinitely intelligent with God. And you could say God does everything, gives you the ideas, does this for you, opens up doors.
Yes. And as God is everything and you are a part of everything, do not discount your power as a fractal of the diamond.
Yes,
Acres of
exactly.
Diamonds, another classic book we can
That's a
never.
great point about the power aspect. So if I release the need to control based on condition in mind, like what Napoleon Hill was saying, by releasing the condition, the belief, the power is the power appears into form, you could say. The power, the love and wisdom of God appears into form because I thought I need to control it. That was an illusion. I don't need to control it. It happens perfectly. You could say, remain in my flow and allow it to happen.
Well, the full decoding, we like to say we are a light hue being manifest, the human.
That's a great articulation, by the way, because when we look at human and we see the seven chakras, it is a rainbow, the human.
That's all we got time for today. That was good. That was really good. That was really
Well, thank you.
epic,
This was
epic,
fun.
right? We
I
might.
don't, I've never had a conversation like this on YouTube before. If you're posting this on YouTube or podcast, so this is a blessing. And you and I have these conversations, so it's great that we get to share this conversation with everyone. So it's a blessing. Thank you.
It's so high level, man. And like when people remain on purpose, like I'm going to talk to my homie, he's an exec at Google. Joseph's like, I got a hard stop because I got a meeting too. So we're out of here. But before we leave, real quick, obviously, tap in. We can join all the different consulting community links in the chat. Joseph, shout out all your stuff where people can find you.
Thank you. Yeah, onlinetrainingforentrepreneurs.com. You'll link to my channel, and then there's josephrodriguez.com. Thank you.
Facts. Especially check out Joseph's new channel with his business insights. He's made over $10 million. Check it out. For real. I mean, the integration, like we talked about here, of business and the mental and spiritual aspects to
And that
create
is
a
how
holistic view.
it
Yes.
is. It actually is if one takes an integrated approach of physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, they see that they naturally organize their contributions with less and less resistance. And there's no limit to the degree of how the contributions get organized. And here's an interesting thing that I discovered as well is you're organizing the contributions in a mass scale. You essentially do the things that, let's say, I choose not to do, yet together we play a role in organizing those contributions. So it's a harmonious relationship with people. Everyone plays a role in organizing the contributions as we acknowledge what we're talking about here today. We see
We
that
all
this is
play the
what's
theater
happening.
of God. We play
Yes,
the theater of
it's a
God.
delightful play of God, is what it is.
Mm.
Yes, it is experienced that way. As the conditions are removed, it's actually experienced that way, physically experienced that way. And we see an acceleration of it, we can say, a multiplication of it.
Pure delight, pure delight. Delight, the emotion of light. Joseph taught me that. I'm gonna leave it there. Cut.